roll.
Glenn Whitley, County Judge.
Here.
Roy C. Brooks, Commissioner Precinct 1.
Present.
Marty Van Ravensway, Commissioner Precinct 2.
Here.
Gary Fickus, Commissioner Precinct 3. J.D. Johnson, Commissioner Precinct 4. Constitutes a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Manius, was that the buzz?
Not anymore.
Okay, must have been your microphone over there.
Here.
Now we got even more of a quorum. Our invocation this morning will be delivered by Reverend Dennis Hudson from the Saginaw Park Baptist Church. After the invocation, please remain standing for our pledges.
Would you all join with me in praying? Dear God and Father, we want to come today reminded again by the beauty of this morning and the wonder of the life you've provided each and every one of us, that you're truly an awesome God. You're incredible in what you do. You're incredible in how you have empowered each of us. And your greatness is immeasurable, Father, and we realize that. Your love cannot be ever outdone. Lord, we come recognizing that as your created beings, our purpose is to make sure that your kingdom comes and that your will is done here on earth. Lord, we just, for this reason, we are inviting you to live in us today. We're inviting you to guide our hearts and minds to your truth, keep our thoughts and actions appropriate to your holiness. Let everything that we do make heaven a little bit more of a reality here on earth. For Father, it is your power and glory that are forever. And we thank you that you choose to reveal that glory in us. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Mr. Manius, agenda announcements.
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the Court, we have one announcement for you this morning. That concerns purchasing. It's item 8H1. This is the sale of recycled paper. There is a new court communication in your red folder, simply which provides the pricing on the bid yesterday. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Board members, you have before you the minutes of our meeting of September 30th.
Move approval. Second.
A motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion, Commissioner Fickus, if you would, your button's off up there. So.
Sorry.
Motion passes unanimously. Today is the first Tuesday, and as such, it is our opportunity to recognize our employees for their years of service. And so it is, again, my privilege to be able to do that at this time and to have an opportunity. I've had an opportunity to talk with a few of you, and at the same time, what we do is we recognize the 5, the 10, and the 15-year employees. And then with the 20-plus years, we also spend a little bit of time talking with them individually and have an opportunity to recognize them individually. So as I call your name, please, or something that sounds like your name, please stand and remain standing until your group is complete, and then we'll recognize all of you, and then we'll move to the next group. So I'll begin with the 5-year employees. The first one is Frederick Brower, Sheriff Patrol. Kimberly Bruton, Sheriff Booking. Kenneth Chambliss, Sheriff Confinement. Okay. Jennifer Galando, CSCD. Jay Garrett, Sheriff Confinement. Theron Gregory, CSCD. Robert Gutierrez, County Clerk. Robert. Dina Holder, Resource Connection. Terrence Hollins, Texas AgriLife Extension. Terrence. John Hughes, Precinct 4 Maintenance. Johnny Allen, Sheriff Confinement. Zacchaeus Jackson, Sheriff Confinement. Jeremy Lee, CSCD. Catherine Martinez, Public Health. Mitchell McDonald, CSCD. Andrea Moreno, Sheriff Records. Velma Navarrete, CSCD. Stephen Powell, CSCD. Jay Roeder, Sheriff Patrol. Philip Swoop, Information Technology. Bridget Smith, Sheriff Communications. And Terry Watson, Precinct 2 Maintenance. Let's give our 5-year employees a round. Thank y'all. Now for our 10-year employees. Vicki Ansley, Tax Office. Randall Phelps, Sheriff Booking. Sherry Franklin, Information Technology. John Greenleaf, Information Technology. Joe Hernandez, Facilities Management. Sharon Hubbard, Sheriff Confinement. Diane Hunt, Juvenile Services. Kevin Idell, Facilities Management. Angela Layfield, Sheriff Courts. Domenico Luadelia. Yeah, sorry about that, because I don't think I was close. Facilities Management. Sherry Owen, Information Technology. Jacinto Ramos, Juvenile Services. Did I get anywhere near it? Okay. Thank you. Gloria Rodriguez, CSCD. Paula Sanders, Juvenile Services. Billy Valdez, Tax Office. Cynthia Vukovic. Well, the second time I'm doing better than the County Clerk's Office. And Alan Wilby, Sheriff's Courts. Maybe that's... Okay, that's our 10-year employees. Let's do it. Our 15-year employees, Paul Brinkman, Sheriff Patrol. Paul. Darren Gabbert, District Attorney's Office. Stephen Johnson, Sheriff Booking. Charles Mann, CSCD. This is going to be a tough one. Lisa McMillan, Administrator's Office. Lisa Porter, Information Technology. Marion Ross, Texas AgriLife Extension. And Mary Helen Weinberg, Juvenile Services. These are our 15-year employees. Let's give them. And as I said earlier, with our 20-plus years, I give them a call sometimes pretty close to the time of doing this. But today, yesterday we finished this month's, so I was pretty much ahead of schedule. And this first one was the last one I talked with, and Maria Aguilar from CSCD. Is she? There's Maria. So I had a chance to talk with her and actually got a hold of you. I think it was in the first half of the day as opposed to the late half of the day. So finished well ahead of schedule this month. Maria has been with CSCD for 20 years. She started out in the Southwest Field Office Unit, and then for the last 14 years has been downtown. She works in the pretrial division with Judge Cummings, and in the domestic violence court. And she says she's really enjoyed doing that. As many of you have known, or you may, every month I ask them of, a more memorable moment, and a lot of times they'll laugh and they won't tell me, or they just have a real hard time thinking of one. Maria didn't have a problem at all. She just jumped right out there. She was making a visit one day with CSCD when in busts the SWAT team for a drug bust. And so, she's trying to, okay, I've got identification in my wallet. Just, don't take me in. So, I would have to believe that if that had happened to me, that would be a more memorable moment. After I got past the, being scared to death that somebody was going to decide they needed to shoot as opposed to just, coming on in. So that was certainly one of those memorable moments. When I asked her what she liked most, she couldn't say enough about the supervisors that she had, and mentioned several. Two whose names I jotted down were Bob Gunner and Diana. Is it Tobias? She just said, that they had meant an awful lot to her, and that throughout her 20 years with the county with CSCD, that she had had some great folks who constantly spent time trying to help the employees be better and do better. She was the first Spanish-speaking officer in the felony and misdemeanor unit, and she was very proud of that, and we appreciate very, very much, Maria, the 20 years that you've given to Tarrant County. Thank you very much. Next is Richard Klosner, sheriff in the Sheriff Department in the courts area. Richard started out as a sheriff in the Sheriff Department as a jailer, and then went to peace officer school, served many years as a supervisor, and then 18 months ago he went to the courts area, and now is in CDC #1 with Judge Wilson. When I asked him of his more memorable moments with Tarrant County, he recalled that in 2001 he was named Supervisor of the Year, and that was an honor of which he was very proud of. I asked him what he liked most, and as I so often hear, he said it's a great people to work with, it's a great place to work, and that he really enjoyed his time and continues to enjoy his time working with the county. Richard, we appreciate the 20 years you've given us, and we hope you give us many more. Next is, Karen Hilger with the County Clerk's Office. Good morning, Karen. Karen has been with the County Clerk for 20 years, started in the County Clerk's Office entering traffic cases in the old system, and she said then she became a court clerk, and then the civil manager, and then the criminal manager, a position which she's had for the last 15 years. More memorable moment, she said, was when they moved out of the old criminal courts building into the new building, and how much great and how much better that was. She did recall that while they were in the old building, that when they went home on the weekends, they had to cover their desks and cover their computers because above them were some rather unruly inmates that had a tendency to do. Yes, Crystal, that's exactly what they did. And so they covered their desks because they never knew exactly what was going to be there if they didn't. when they'd come in on Monday. What she liked most about it was, again, the people, the fact that they really became an extended family. She said, she was really surrounded and fortunate to be surrounded by great people. And she said she really appreciated Suzanne taking a chance on her and that she had given her a tremendous amount of support over the years. Loves working for the county, just wishes she'd started a little bit earlier. Karen, we appreciate very much the 20 years you've given us. Now, next was to be Wayne Maddox. He is on vacation this week, so was not able to make it. He's spent 20 years with the county. And then after Wayne is Frank Mazza from the auditor's office. And Frank started out in the auditor's office in the internal audit area under Mr. Causey. When I asked him what he liked most, he said it was, again, the folks. He said that he really enjoys working not only with the folks in the auditor's office, but that he really, really enjoys going out and being able to work with the fee offices. He said he said, I really enjoy working with them and getting to know them and trying to find ways to do the job better or to be more efficient or just to learn what they're doing and how well they're doing. He said that it's really been, it's good to be able to add benefit to the operations. And that's what he really talked about, was the fact that he felt like by working with the staff that they were able to add benefit. And it wasn't a matter of just going in and saying, well, you need to do this better or whatever. It's just, it was really sitting there and working out how do we do a better job. He said he's been in Texas since he was 24. He originally started out working with Arthur Anderson and then came to the county in 1988 and has really, really enjoyed that time. Frank, we appreciate very much the 20 years you've given us.
I'm disappointed Frank wasn't happy about serving on the bail bond board.
That was not one of the things he mentioned as a more memorable moment. Next is John Pruitt, Sheriff Confinement, Green Bay. John, good morning. John spent 20 years with the county, started out in the old jail and then moved over to the new jail and is now the Green Bay Security Control Officer. When I asked him of his more memorable moments, he said, it's again just the employees, the veteran employees that he's had a chance to work with. He's been on the night shift for several years. In his area, he worked in the area where single cells, and so these folks would come out. They're allowed out kind of individually, but sometimes it's a little bit more difficult to get them to go back in. And when that happens, there's one of two things that happen. You either force them back in, or you just work with them and coax them back in. And John talked of a couple of instances where he coaxed them back in, and he said there was this one guy, and we'd watch him in the cell, and it was always like he was driving his 18-wheeler and driving his truck. Yeah, I know. It's you got to remember these aren't the brightest people anyway. So I see that look, GK. Well, this guy was out one day, and they couldn't get him back in his cell, and so John said, well, we really need somebody to drive the truck back to some particular location. The guy went right back in the cell, sat down, and started driving. And then he talked of another instance where this guy was hallucinating and his wife had been visiting, and then all of a sudden somebody got his wife, and he wasn't going back in the cell until he could find his wife. And again, John was able to just sit down and reason with him and coax him and got him back in the cell without there having to be this extreme force and everything else used. And what that says to me is that John works with every individual and treats every individual as a human being and tries to work with them as much as possible, and does it sometimes just take the fast and the easy way to get them back or to get them to do what they need to be doing at that point in time, but instead really tries to show them a little respect and to help them get back through the process. And make what is a bad situation not worse. When I asked him what he liked most, it was, again, the fact that he got to work with a team. He's really, I guess, worked the night shift just about the whole time, and he really enjoyed that. And he mentioned a couple. Again, he mentioned a lot of his supervisors that he's had a chance to work with, indicated that they were great teachers. Mentioned a Sergeant Crowell and a Palmer Garrett. Yeah, it's Garrett, I believe. In addition to me having a hard time pronouncing, you ought to see my typing. It was just, again, one of the great opportunities, he said, to work with a lot of great folks. They do their part, and they really look at them doing their part of making this community safer and keeping it safe by making sure that these folks, have a chance to be a part and to do their time and to not get back out just because we may be full. I believe you brought your wife with you, Mary Ann. Yes, Mary Ann, please stand. And then also a friend came with him this morning, Shirley Horn, I believe. Shirley, stand up and let us again thank you and welcome you and recognize you for the 20 years, John, that you've given to the church. Next is Dan Reisinger, the District Attorney's Office. There's Dan. You got to stand up, Dan. Started out in the DA's office, 1 year in criminal, then the rest he spent in the civil area. When I asked him about some of his, he works with psych patients, and he said, there's been a lot of memorable moments working with the psych patients. He said the one thing that he really has enjoyed is having Marvin as his boss. He said Marvin has been a great person to work for and has been someone who's been very nice, and that he has enjoyed very much his time with the DA's office. Another one is each year, I guess, the attorneys do a survey. And one of the things that he remembered was being highly rated by his peers on the job that he does and and his abilities and the way he acts and deals with folks. When I asked him what he liked most, he said it was a great group of judges and associate judges that he's had an opportunity to work with, the support staff. He mentioned the county judge and then laughed a little bit. And I'm sure he was talking about the old county judge, not the new county judge. But he did say that, Commissioner's Court has always been very supportive, and that he appreciated the good financial shape that the county was in, and the fact that, he wasn't reading about us every day in the paper. When I asked him about anything else, he said, the time has really flown by. He said, I can't believe that I've been here for 20 years. Well, I'll tell you what, Dan, we appreciate very much the 20 years you've given us. Thank you very much. Now, I understand that one of our 15-year employees, Marianne Ross, just came in, so take a step forward. We'll represent Marianne. Congratulate her. Thank you very much. Now, next on my list is Joe Rodriguez. I'm not sure Joe was going to be able to make it. Did Joe make it? He didn't think he was going to be able to get down here. Again, 20 years. He's worked in the Sheriff's Department. He's a force supervisor and still working in that particular area. We appreciate the 20 years that Joe's given us. I wished he could have been here today, but his schedule he didn't think his schedule was going to permit him to be here. Now, next are our 25-year employees, and the first is Cheryl Allen with the District Attorney's Office. Okay, Cheryl's not here. Well, I thought she was going to be able to make it. Maybe she'll come in a few minutes. Now, the next one I don't believe was going to be able to make it, again because of scheduling, and that was Captain Kelly Meyer from Sheriff Booking. Now, she didn't really think she was going to be able to make it down here today, so. Now, I know this next person's here. Jenny Rhodes. Stand up, Jenny. How are you today? 25 years. She started off in the computer center and then to the DA's office, and she left after 7 years and then came back to the district clerk's office and then went to work for CCC number 3. So actually, Jenny's been with the county for 32 years. But because of this system that we've got, and I say this every time, and Robin stares at me and looks at me like, why do you keep doing this? But Jenny has actually 32 years with the county. When I asked her what she liked most, she said, you know, the county is really good to its employees. They really take care of the employees, and it's kind of like a family. She said, I learned an awful lot working in the DA's office, and she said each job that she's had over the years have helped her grow as an individual. She hopes that she is with us for at least another 10 years, and Jenny, I can tell you, I hope you are too, and maybe even more than 10 years. We appreciate very much the 32 years of service you've given Tarrant County. Now, next is Ivan Prince, and Ivan is on 2 weeks of vacation, and so I don't think he was going to make it in for this. I'm sorry. Yeah, she had indicated that she would not be able to come to court. So, last is Tom Medina, 35 years. 35 years. Tom is in the tax office, started in the tax office, and after 2 weeks started working the line up front. No computers, had to do everything by hand back then. Everything by hand. Now is doing tax research, and so as we walk into this building, we see Tom there ready to help and ready to work with people and to try to answer their questions. More memorable moments, 3 tax assessors. Reed Stewart, June Garrison, Betsy Price. He remembered when I asked him about some more memorable moments, he said, when we were doing everything by hand, you'll remember that at one point in time, all the vehicle registrations were due at the same time. And so they would actually have the lines out the doors and around the courthouse. And they would have to try to find the end of the line at some point in time and then cut it off, because otherwise they would just be there all night long. When I asked him what he liked most, again, it was the people that he had a chance to work with, the benefits, being a part of the county family. When I asked him anything else, he said, I really have enjoyed what I've been doing. He said, I enjoy helping citizens, and he said it's just really been great. We recognized his wife, Lydia, earlier this year for 25 years of service. Now, is Lydia here? Stand up, Lydia. We thank you very much for your 25, and Tom, we thank you very much for your 35 years of service. That really says it all when you've got a couple here who've served the county for a total of 60 years. They've been here working day in, day out to serve the citizens of Tarrant County. Now, before we pause for a moment and let everybody go back, I do want to make an announcement. Last month we recognized Tommy Duncan from Facilities Management. Tommy was involved in an automobile accident this past week, and I would just ask at this point in time that you keep him and his family in your prayers. It was very sad, very unfortunate, and so please just keep that family in your prayers right now. This time we'll go ahead and pause for a moment and allow y'all to recess back to 504C, where we have refreshments. 5
the way it is.
Let's go ahead and start it. Okay, our first proclamation is for Czech Heritage Month, and that's for ratification only, and I'll move its approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Next is Commissioner Pickus. I believe you have a
Yes,
resolution.
for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and let me read this into the record. We also have some people here today. I will announce them, and then they're going to come to the podium when I finish. We have Elizabeth Edmondson, who is a breast cancer survivor and a volunteer for the Tarrant County Susan G. Coleman Foundation, and also with her we have Cheryl Loudermilk, who's with our Public Health Department. Let me read this, and then I will. Whereas, of an estimated 12,210 women in Texas who will be diagnosed with breast cancer, almost 20% will lose their lives as a result of this disease. And whereas important life-saving practices are available for the early detection of breast cancer, and whereas the American Cancer Society screening guidelines for breast cancer include annual mammograms for all women aged 40 and older, breast examinations by a healthcare professional, and a monthly breast self-examination. And whereas Susan G. Coleman for the Cure is the world's largest grassroots network of breast cancer survivors and activists fighting to save lives, empower people, ensure quality care for all, and energize science to find the cures. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2008 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month in Tarrant County. Further, we urge all Tarrant County women to be aware that they are at risk and should discuss a screening program with their health care provider. In witness whereof, we have hereunto set our hands and caused the seal of Tarrant County to be affixed this 7th day of October, 2008.
And I assume you're moving its approval. We have a
Yes, we have a
motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
I'm Cheryl Loudermilk with the Breast and Cervical Cancer Program, and first of all, I do want to thank Commissioner Pickus for sponsoring our event today. And it means a great deal to us to make sure that the word gets out in our community. And we, of course, we want to honor Susan G. Komen for the cure, because it is so important. It's a vital part of our community. Of course, Elizabeth Edmondson is here today to represent that. She's a volunteer there. But first, I want to tell you what Komen has done for the ladies in Tarrant County for the breast and cervical cancer program. Ladies that are 200% of federal poverty guideline that lack resources for their screening mammograms and their diagnostics, and of course part of that diagnostic includes their biopsies and the pathology piece, that they fund that for those ladies. And without that funding, many ladies would not be stepping forward to have those services done. They would, many of them would show up in the emergency room many years later with devastating outcomes. So they are very important in our community. And I will tell you that Susan G. Komen has awarded the Breast and Cervical Cancer Program here at Tarrant County Health Department $175,000. And this year they funded a part-time RN, which helps expand, and that was Coleman's wishes to expand in the community so the word gets out. More and more and more ladies are a recipient of those fundings. And I do encourage everyone in the courtroom to be supporters of the Race for the Cure, because most of their money is raised through that. But at this point, I would like to go ahead and present this plaque to Elizabeth Edmondson for her representing Susan G. Komen. And also, before she speaks, as a breast cancer survivor, she's 2 years breast cancer survivor, I'd like to present her flowers from the Breast and Cervical Cancer Program.
Well, and Cheryl is also a 4-year survivor, so I said she needs half of these flowers. I just want to say that as a survivor and as a volunteer for Komen for the Cure, I'm so blessed to be here today. And we really want to express our gratitude, our heartfelt thanks to all the employees. Tarrant County has been so good to help with everything. And as she said, the Race for the Cure, we raised $1.6 million last year, and $1.2 million stayed right here in Tarrant County to fund these programs, to help cancer care at centers and the Center for Cancer and Blood Disorders, and these other programs help women. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful organization. I appreciate the award, and I know they will as well. And just thank you so much for making this a whole month of awareness that maybe we can touch lives and save lives. Thank you.
Thank both of y'all for coming out today. I appreciate it. Commissioner Johnson.
Yes, Your Honor, I have a proclamation, National 4-H Week, and Cindy Bryant, 4-H agent at the AgriLife Extension Service, will come forward to receive that. If you would read it into the record, please.
Whereas 4-H is a part of Texas AgriLife Extension, is a youth development program which was established in 1907 and is currently celebrating 101 years of service to youth, and whereas the Tarrant County 4-H upholds the original mission to prepare youth to meet the challenges of life by developing positive life skills through hands-on educational experiences, and actively pursues avenues of quality programming designed to meet the current needs of our dynamic society. And whereas the most popular projects in our county include photography, horses, public speaking, clothing and textiles, as well as food and nutrition, all designed to provide opportunities for youth to develop leadership, citizenship, and teamwork skills. And whereas the 4-H program in Tarrant County reaches youth in urban, suburban, and semi-rural communities and is composed of over 600 club members and 150 volunteers who actively participate in monthly and weekly activities that encourage youth to fulfill their potential. And whereas additionally over 14,500 youth participate in the annual 4-H sponsored short-term programs in Tarrant County and are empowered to apply their knowledge and skills to benefit the community and make a difference in the lives of others, now therefore be it resolved that we, the Commissioners Court of Tarrant County, do hereby proclaim October 5th through 11th, 2008 as 4-H Week in Tarrant County. In witness whereof, we have heretofore set our hands and caused the seal of Tarrant County to be affixed this 7th day of October, 2008.
Now move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much for all you do.
I was about to blow us off.
Blowing on?
Why don't you introduce your
Why don't y'all take a picture, JD?
Turn around and let them take a picture.
Sure.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson and the other commissioners and the judge of the court. We appreciate your continued support of this program, and with your help, we've been able to make a difference in the lives of a lot of youth, along with the volunteer support base that we have as well. At this time, I'd like to introduce McKenna Milton, who is one of our 4-H members, who will be telling you a little bit about what the program means to her. Thank you.
Well, I cannot begin to tell you how much this program has meant to me. As a 9-year 4-H'er, I can fully appreciate this club. You might say that 4-H is in my blood, as both my mother and her mother before her were in this club. Also, my mother grew up about 40 miles from where the first 4-H club was held. So I feel that I can fully appreciate this, and I am so grateful for them to bring me this legacy and to pass it down to me. Some think that 4-H is mainly about livestock and produce, and it is, but it is so much more. It also emphasizes leadership, fulfilling goals, and above all, making the best better. We are training the new leaders of tomorrow in this club. I've had many projects over the years. I have done horse only for 1 year, but as both my parents grew up in rural areas, I thought I should learn how to do that. I've also been involved in clothing and textiles, taking my designs and what I've constructed to the fashion show, and even to the state level. With my fashion design, I've gotten 3rd place twice in the state roundup. And 4-H is what inspired me to do this, and I am planning to also go into it after I've graduated from high school. I've also done photography and family life, and as an interesting side note, I am the oldest of 8 kids. I've also done food and nutrition, communicative and expressive arts, and public speaking. I have also been the president of my 4-H club twice. I'm serving my 2nd time as president of my 4-H club. We've done a lot of service learning in our club. We've been emphasizing that over the years. We've done Valentine baskets for shut-ins, sent books for natural disaster victims, and also had canned food drives for local shelters. I also like to incorporate my other volunteer work into 4-H, as I have been a child care volunteer in helping to babysit children for various events. I've been a VVS youth worker as well. Also with 4-H, awards have been given to worthy participants in this club. We are able to complete the criterion, and then we also go and have interviews, and the judges pick who they think is the most worthy to receive these awards. I have received the Danforth I Dare You Award, which is a leadership award, and I've also received the Gold Star, as well as many Achiever Awards through junior, intermediate, and senior. Some people would say that I've had a very successful 4-H career, and that's true. But I want to thank you, through your support, that you have been helping other 4-Hers, such as I, to achieve their goals in this Lone Star State. I thank you.
Thank you.
Which 4-H club do you belong to?
Countryside 4-H.
Where is
Country.
that?
South Lake.
South Lake?
South Lake.
Watch out, Gary. He's coming.
Now, I'd like for everybody, they stopped by earlier and visited with each one of the commissioners, and I believe dropped off a little mum. All of y'all stand up that came today with the 4-H. Let's recognize everyone. This is a great program, and we appreciate very much the work that you do, both the adults who help in the sponsoring and the youth who go through the program. And again, Commissioner Johnson, I know that is a real passion of yours, and we appreciate your dedication and service to that.
Great group of folks.
Surely are. Okay, next item on the agenda is our consent agenda.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Manius?
Thank you, Your Honor. Members of the court, we have two additional items for the court's consideration this morning. On item number one, we're requesting that the court approve an intercreditor and subordination agreement between Tarrant County, Wells Fargo, Hearst Jeremiah 2911 LP, and Jeremiah 2911 Inc. to secure the county's second lien position in the Jeremiah 2911 Seniors Housing Project, which is located in Hearst, Texas.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Your Honor, members of the court, on item number two, we're requesting that the Commissioners' Court approve an exception to the Tarrant County travel policy as it relates to Constable Precinct Number 1's office.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Tidwell?
This morning, we're asking the Commissioners' Court to receive and file the auditor's report of controls over the county fueling operations. I would point out that the original purpose in acquiring the system was to allocate costs back to the users of the fuel, but particularly with today's market and economy, we really need to shift to having a stronger focus on controls. The controls were loose enough that we're not able to determine if there were any transactions that were not appropriate, but we need resources or appropriate management guidance and focus to improve the controls in this area.
I agree with Renee. In discussions with my precinct garage people and some outside fueling control companies, there are big holes in our system. We can't track who's getting fuel. We can't track it back to a particular vehicle. We need to do some work on improving the system.
One of our recommendations is that the cards be assigned to specific individuals in the use of a PIN number as opposed to the cards being assigned to a vehicle, because anyone then that has access to the vehicle has access to the card.
Well, I didn't want to say all of that publicly.
Right. Well, we're correcting that. But it's really important that we put those kinds of controls in place.
What if, and I know that I've seen the letter from Ms. Lamb in here also from that standpoint. How long do you think it's going to take to implement some of these recommendations? And
Well, they've already started. They've been very proactive.
well, and that's what I figured out. What I thought those we might do is have y'all come back in some period of time, 30, 60 days, whatever you think would be appropriate, and just kind of give us a report on where you feel like we are and everything.
I'd be happy to do that. We have already ordered a second piece of software so that we'll have software on two different computers, which is one of the items that the auditor's office brought up. We're working with the vendor right now to enact PIN numbers. I think it'd be best, and what we're recommending is that we implement that within my Transportation Services Department, because we have pool cars, we have cars assigned to individuals, and make sure that the system works well within our small department before we implement it countywide. We are working with the vendor right now to do that, and I'd be glad to come back in 3 to 6 months or 3 to 4 months and give you an update of where we are.
What I would like to do maybe is come back, go ahead and implement it in your smaller department, but, give us the results of that within about 3 months, and then have a schedule to roll out and involve whoever else you need to involve, but, let's get to tighten down the controls on this thing.
I'd be pleased to do that. It does impact 3 of the precincts, and so we're working closely with them as well. But I'd be glad to come back in 3 months to give you an update.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And we recognize that all of our recommendations need to be considered in light of the ability for people to continue to conduct and be able to fuel. So while we had some suggestions in there, we understand they may not all be ones that will work. On the other hand, we really do need to look into it, and we'll work closely with transportation in the precincts.
Okay, so 3 months for initial, and then at that time, we'll get a calendar on how it rolls out to the whole county?
We'll bring it back to you in January. That's 3 months.
Okay.
Ms. Tidwell, could I ask, do the fuelman reports offer you enough information? Is there something that needs to be improved with that?
I don't think we had any. That was not included as part of this review.
Shouldn't it be?
We can expand our scope. This was for the county system.
Well, if there's a lacking there, I would like to know about it.
Okay.
The intention was to avoid any problem when we built the new facility with environmental issues and provide greater control. But I can't verify that unless somebody else can tell me that.
Okay. We'll be happy to look into that, and this one just did not. So, good point. Thank you.
Do I have a motion to receive and file?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file the auditor's report. Any further discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you.
Move to
Wait a minute.
receive and file the personnel agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to receive and file the personnel agenda. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We have one additional item for the court. Item number 2, we're asking the court to approve organizational changes to housing. Housing is requesting the addition of 2 part-time temporary positions to assist with housing and case management services for Katrina and Rita evacuees. Housing is also anticipating being asked to assist with housing Ike evacuees as well. These are grant-funded positions and, of course, will have no impact to the general fund.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Mr. Beecham.
Your Honor, the members of the court, we have 3 items for your consideration. Just for a moment, I'd like to make a comment. June McGee, our office manager, as most of you know, is retiring after 22 years of service at the end of the month. She's been responsible for 22 years of putting together our lengthy agenda. We're going to miss her. We'll make that announcement for her retirement party. However, this morning I'd like to introduce her replacement, Regina Turner. If she would stand in the back, please.
Regina, welcome.
Regina came to us from the blood care industry, and she'll be responsible for this new lengthy agenda that we bring forth to you every
Did you fully
Tuesday.
prepare her for this?
Yes, ma'am. Our first item is an item is a bid award recommendation for bid number 2009-004, the sale of recycled paper. That recommendation will be toward the high bidder, Southwest Paper, at the rate of $190.50 per ton.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 2 is also a bid award recommendation for RFP number 2008-180. This is for polygraph services for juvenile services. Recommendation will be to award a per unit price basis, awarding to Wooden Associates Polygraph Services. If approved, we're also seeking contract approval from the court.
Move approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Our last item, number 3, is also a bid award recommendation for bid number 2008-170, an item which we discussed at length last week. This is our annual contract for copier maintenance. We are recommending award on a per unit price basis, awarding section number 1, the Canon machines, the Kyocera, Panasonic, and Sharp to Neville Business Machines. Sections 2, the Gestetner, and number 8, the Rico to Rico Business Solutions. We are also recommending rejection of the bids received on sections 5, which are the Minolta DIs, and number 6, the EP machines, rebidding with revised specifications, which would be to not require certification, preferred, yet not a hard requirement for those two sections.
Move approval of the recommendations.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a audience participation. We have a motion and a second. At this time, I'll call on Mary, come forward, and again, please give your name and address.
Good morning. I'm Mary Disk, 624 Foxcraft Drive, Fort Worth, Texas, 76131. Before I start, I'd just like to commend Commissioner Fickus on the road improvements you've made at Bonds Ranch Road in Wagley Robertson. I live over there and is much appreciated. Okay. My question is I need a point of clarification basically. If purchasing is going to not require certification on the sections that they're going to rebid, which are the Minolta, which is the section that they've not given us, then why then would you need to throw our bid out when we were the lower price on the Minolta?
I believe,
Because we met
correct me
every
if I'm
other
wrong,
criteria.
Mr. Attorney, but I believe that because it was in the original requirements, we have to reject all those bids and we have to go out for a new process. We can't just accept something that came in under a bid that required something else.
Okay, so it's protocol
Now,
then.
you got to wait for him to shake his head.
That's correct. Basically, the way the bid was set up, it said, in order to be qualified, you must submit those certifications, since we didn't have any that submitted those certifications.
I understand. I'm merely
To
asking.
revise it.
Yeah, that's the
to-
reason. I mean,
to get
that's
to that.
the reason why we had to go back out.
Okay. So when you get ready to, as you get ready to rebid this section, will there, in fact, in this instance, be a mandatory pre-bid meeting that we need to be notified about?
He's shaking.
No, I think what we're saying is we're putting it out for bid and just go ahead and, Jack's fixing to tell us exactly what the deals will be.
Excuse me?
No mandatory pre-bid conference. Again, we're asking, we prefer certification on those two sections, but it's not required.
Right, okay. So that was the other question I want to make sure I understood. It's preferred but not required.
I'd like to ask the lady a question. What is the reason why you are not certified?
We are certified on some pieces of the equipment, but the particular Minolta equipment, I have certificates here for some more modern equipment that is not in your specs, but some of those pieces of equipment are aged machines, and we no longer have the certification on them. We did have some employees several years back, but when they come to us to be hired, they work on the machines for us. They bring the certificates for us to show us, that they can meet our prerequisites, basically, but we don't keep them on file. They are not our property, and they go back with the technicians. So therefore, being that there's turnover in this business, when the people leave, we don't have a copy of the certificates.
So it's employee certification, not company certification?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The technicians, the individual technicians. Does that answer your question? Okay. The last thing I want to ask then, and I must worry about this, being the owner of this company, is since you're going to rebid those sections we've spoken about, generally when we extend a contract, we usually get something from the purchasing department of whichever municipality we're dealing with that says we'd like to extend the contract for, a certain amount of recommended time, and we sign something. There's been nothing presented to us by purchasing. We've been waiting, and so what I want to find out, I guess, is how long is this rebid process going to take, and what is our liability on the equipment, which we are still servicing and have continued to provide at no charge?
Well, I would assume that you would be paid under the terms of the contract previously in place. Jack, would you like to come and address?
It's not a matter of money, sir. It's a matter of what our liability as far as do we need to continue to service. Remember, we extended it last week
Right.
until you had a chance to try to get this worked out.
Right.
Are we going to continue to extend it, and is there some paperwork that clarifies that, is my question.
Jack?
If I understood the question correctly, we are prepared to advertise if approved by court as recommended immediately. It would be a 2-week process. We could certainly send accelerated something to extend that contract in the interim for a 2-week period, if approved by.
Well, in all likelihood, what it would be 2 weeks to bid, get it in.
Yes, sir.
A week for us to approve it. So you're probably talking about a 30-day extension.
Probably not even
from
that
either
long.
now or 5 weeks from last week.
We're ready to roll with it. It'll be a quick process.
So that, I mean, basically whatever terms you were operating under previously.
I thought, Judge, that they had the contract could extend for another year. Is that not correct, Judge? When we were talking last week?
The contract could extend for another year, but I think.
Would extend it?
It could have extended for another year if recommended so.
She's shaking her head no, so never mind. Just do what you're going to do. That's fine.
I understand, but we do have certificates. We had them with us last week. It just wasn't on the equipment that you had on your bid.
Okay.
As I've explained why.
But again,
Okay.
we've gone over why we have to rebid.
I understand.
So do you have any other questions right now with regards to, y'all said last week that you would be glad to extend the period past the end of the deal. Now it's looking like it's going to be 30 days.
Okay, so then do we then have the ability to bill purchasing, since it's going to be another month? We'll take the figures we have in place and depreciate them and
You
do
do any
it by
work? I
month.
would think if you do any work past October
Yes.
1st, you would certainly be.
Do we need to make that part of the motion? I think that's the question.
I don't think we need to sit here and interpret a contract that we haven't seen.
Well, we've seen this contract.
If they're doing work,
It was
they need to
several
be
years
paid.
ago.
Well, and I think we said that last week. It was extended and.
Well, it was a courtesy last week. Now, if you're going to do it for another month, it becomes a business
Well, it
transaction.
wasn't a courtesy last, I mean, you
Sure.
agreed to do it, but
Sure.
what?
Your
I
Honor,
mean,
Your Honor, in last week, what we did, we had discussion, and this company agreed to extend or to continue doing the work. There was no formal action taken by the court last week as relates to the extension of the contract. So what I would suggest that you do is that you formally extend that contract for 6 weeks at this time,
from the date that,
from the date of
October 1.
October 1.
I don't know that we were agendized to do that.
Mr. Wright?
I think purchasing can do what was just described there just as easily as the court can. They have the ability on small purchases to extend things, and that's the way to handle it, I think.
Any repairs should be way less than the $25,000 bid ceiling amount. We're in good shape.
Okay.
We're fine.
Well, maybe a bigger question is, Marie, is Accelerated willing to accept a 6-week contract?
Am I willing to accept the 6-week contract? Yes.
If given.
I'm willing to accept the 6-week contract if we can continue to bill on a
And
prorated basis.
You're going to bid on, yeah.
And yes, I would definitely like to be included in the pre-bid or the bid process or whatever and try again.
Sure. Okay.
I'm not one to throw down the cards, as you see.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I thought I understood Jack to say there was not going to be a pre-bid conference.
No, there's no pre-bid.
And I thought I understood that you said it would be about 2 weeks, not 6 weeks.
We plan to advertise it tomorrow. The specifications can be finished today. We're talking about 2 small sections. We're ready to roll with it again. There's no necessity, there's no need to have a mandatory pre-bid. It'll be the same specifications as last time. We prefer certification, but we're not going to require it. So they or anybody else can certainly bid on this contract. Expect to get some good pricing.
Call the question.
We have a motion and a second. Okay.
I move that we accept.
Well, we've already got that. I think we've got it all, so.
We got a motion.
Please vote. The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Do you want to make sure that they have spot remover in that?
Pardon?
Spot remover?
On your tie.
Bye, Jack.
That's an office supply
I thought it might be chemicals.
He said that so seriously, too.
The next item on our agenda, I believe Commissioner Van Ravensway, is a interlocal agreement that you have.
Okay, give me a second to get there.
And it is item 8J1, A and B.
All right, I will move for approval of the interlocal agreement for City of Mansfield for the reconstruction of Gertie Barrett Road.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Appointments. I would like to, the Regional Transportation Council has gone to a system whereby entities can appoint alternates to the Regional Transportation Council so that when their particular representative is not there, in the past you've been able to send somebody to stand in, but they couldn't vote and they really couldn't participate. They were just there to sit in the chair. They're now going to allow that individual to vote and to take an active part in the deal. And what I would like to do is appoint Commissioner Fickus as our first alternate for the Regional Transportation Council.
Second.
Yeah.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. You have before you the claims, including the addendum.
Move approval of the claims, including the addendum.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the claims, including the addendum. Please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Mr. Manius, any briefing items?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
At this time, we will move into recess into from open to closed session to discuss items exempted under sections 551.071, 072, 074, 076, and 087 of the Texas Government Code. No. Yes, I had the bow tie this morning.
We're live.
Having returned from closed session, and there being nothing